Today I'm going to talk about logging and monitoring in PDI. In our first example, I am going to create a very simple transformation with using the generate rows input. So I am going to drag this one here. Now I don't want to keep this too complex. However, okay, let's put as output a file. All right, so we just come here. We just say, okay, we're gonna put this into a text file. So in our transformation, in our generated rows, so let's generate 10 rows. Let's call this customer ID. This is type integer. As value, we are just gonna create value 1. Okay, let's just preview the generate rows. It's perfect. Customer ID. So now I'm gonna close this one here, and I'm gonna just generate the hole between these two steps. Now here I'm gonna just say, okay, let's output this somewhere I know. So let's go here to webinar and say, okay, let's call this my first example, right? I'm gonna say the type of file I want to save it is I want to save it as so right. Just hit okay, and let's save this as webinar. This is webinar webinar example 1. All right, so I'm gonna run this. One of the things that we have to keep in mind is we have different types of logging in PDI. So we have a minimal logging, which is essentially no log. Basic logging, which is the one that comes by default, that tells PDI to just print the very basic information plus the errors. The top information adds a little bit more of verbosity to the output. Debugging is the one that shows every step what it's doing with more detail. And row level pretty much tells you what is going on at each row that is written between each step. So, so far, let's start with basic logging. I'm going to launch this transformation. It looks good. So, let's first analyze what is happening here. So we have here metrics. We have a copy number of rows is how many rows were copied. So in this case, we didn't copy any rows. How many rows were read in this step? So 0 were read. I mean, which means it was the source. Nothing was read in a previous step. How many rows were written? Here we need to make a little bit of difference between read and written with input and output here. Read and written is essentially what is being read and written between steps, whereas input and output is more related to external data sources. So what was the input from a data source that could be a CSV file, a database, yeah, and output is what is being written to a data source. So in this case, in this very first step, generated rows, we didn't really write to any data source, and we didn't read from any data source. However, we wrote in the step. How many rows were updated? 0, rejected 0, error 0. This is a very simple transformation. This is the speed in rows per second, and this input and output pretty much tells you how many rows were stuck in the buffer, because a parallel step delayed was delayed. Yeah. So this is very useful to find steps that has been slowed down by parallel steps. So in optimization, this is very useful. Here we can see that we wrote to a file. The file 11 rows were written. Why 11 rows? Because the header was also written. So because this is here we specified that where is should be around here, content. There you go. So we specified that we want the header to be also be written to the file. So pretty much that's why we are writing 11 rows. So this is a very simple example about the different information that we are going to see in every step. And this is essentially what we need to understand what is going on and in this transformation and how to further analyze our jobs. So now what I'm going to do next is I am going to add a little bit of we're going to add login to this transformation. So what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to make sure that I don't have anything here in the career properties file. So we make sure that we haven't defined anything related to the log tables, to the channels, to the jobs, to the transformations, to the step performance. So this version of PDI or this PDI installation has pretty much nothing configured in regards to login. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go here to action, to edit, and I'm going to settings, and I'm going to go to the login tab, and I'm going to start seeing these options that give you the possibility to log in different facilities, different login facilities. So we got here transformations for logging transformation information, a step, which is the most useful one, to log step information, performance, to log performance related information, login, and login channel, which is related to what is being what the logs are using as channels to store the information. So let's suppose we want to store transformation information. So I have set up a database connection, which I call PDI log. I got it here. Is already is ready. What I did is, let me just quickly show you. PDI log. Come here. We're gonna use PDI log. Probably select this. Let me see without. Perfect. So I have already created my structure, my table structure for storing the logs. So we have seven tables, one for each facility. Yeah. This one, no, there are only six, so six tables. I don't know what is this one. Let's delete this. Drop table PDI jobs. Yeah, that's not supposed to be this one. Drop table PDI jobs. Yeah, PDI jobs. All right, let's leave it there. So we have the six tables we need here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first test that my transformation, my connection is good. I'm gonna attach the structure of this SQL the SQL DDL query with webinar examples. However, if you want to do it yourself, it's not that hard. Just go here to, okay, we come back to settings, we go to login, and you set up your connection, you select the name of the table where you want to store the transformation information. Let's suppose this is called translog. And then you click on the SQL button, and it will show you the DDL statement that will create this table. Yeah. In this case, I already have everything ready, so I want to make sure that everything that is related to this transformation log gets stored to the translog table. So it's already created. I'm just going to type translog here. Yeah. So I just hit OK, save, and I am gonna just execute the transformation. Now, chances are that you are not gonna see anything here in your execution summary, and this is because the Spoon requires it to be restarted after doing this type of change. So we're gonna close Spoon. I'm gonna reopen it. Let's wait a little bit while it gets restarted. And so the idea is we have two types of ways to store data, or to store login, sorry, to a central database. One is if we do it per transformation, and this is in case we want to just focus on logging on certain transformations or jobs. And another way is just do it in a global way. That is, we set up everything in the kernel.properties file, and then we just apply the same login to everything. So now we go to status, and now we can see the login information in this data integration instance. So we just ran this transformation, and we can see now that we have access to the transformation log table. Yeah, and it shows what really happened with this transformation, which is what is read, written, updated, input, output, rejected. However, where the information about what was read, written, updated, input, and output, it is stored in the step log table. We haven't set up anything yet, and we're gonna do it now. So quickly, we're gonna just go here to the step information. We just set up here, and let me just make sure okay, it's gonna be a step log. I'm gonna hit OK here, and I'm gonna rerun. This is gonna let me restart again. All right. So, as I was saying before, every time we do any change, and this is very important, every time we do a change in logging in our local instance, we need to restart Pentaho. We need to restart that integration. This could be annoying if we are doing it the way I'm doing it, but if once we have everything set up, it's set up. So let's wait a little bit here. Let's give it a little bit of time. Now I have a couple of good examples where we can see monitoring as well. Okay, so let's see this. So as we see here, we have a new one here. We have the batch ID. And we have what we were looking for here. So now we have the information we're looking for, and it's for the batch ID 4, we didn't really store any information related to the steps. That's why here, when we go to the batch ID 4, we cannot find anything. But for the batch ID 5, we stored the information that we, of course, we already saw here, or it's not displayed here. We already saw before in our step metrics, but now it's being stored in a central repository. What is the advantage of this? The advantage of this is we can have we can have distributed data integration jobs, and we can put them together, and then we can analyze what is going on each step within our data integration strategy, and start finding bottlenecks. These bottlenecks help us to improve and tune up our data integration environment. So this is the real the important part of logging. In our next example, now keeping these two configurations, I'm gonna open one interesting transformation, which is the web lookup. This transformation was developed by my colleague John, and it was presented on 14th of August in a past webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that login is enabled, or login is, again, this is this is in case we do it individually. Let me just make sure this is going to be translog here, and for a step this is going to be a step log. All right, so good. We just save here. You know that it is not going to work. We know it's not going to work because we have to restart the client. So we know it's not. Oh, it works. Oh, amazing. Oh. Let me see. No, it didn't work. Kind of worked, but it didn't work. Let me see. Oh, it has performance. That's very good. That's awesome. Okay. Let's wait a bit. This one is being run. So one of the good things about this example is that we can see something that is the performance graph, which is this one. We enable this one by going to transformation settings and then going here to monitoring. We need to make sure, yeah, my recommendation is let's enable it. And again, if we run it, and for example here we don't see we're trying to see our steps. Oh, now they are appearing. It takes a while to show. Yeah, if it doesn't appear, just restart spoon. This is pretty much what's going on. Okay, so we have, let's make this a little bit, give a little bit more real estate here. So we have different web lookups, and what we can see from the step log table is what is being written within each step. Yeah, we just get the customer details, then we format it according to using the Google Maps API. Then we do the call. Here the important thing is that we can see a little bit of lag in this one, because it's calling doing an HTTP call. This takes your time. It has to connect remotely to the Gmail, to the map server, and then here we can see until the end it just gets to the point that is written. Yeah, and this is the error. This is actually the one that is not there. So let's see how this transformation evolves using the performance graph. So let's see this. So we can see, I'm more interested here on what is being, let me see, the input. Oh, but this is, Yeah, this is for the dummy mode. This was done here. This is I'm going to send the output here. Yeah. What is being is written here to the output. Yeah, so we see that the metric here for the output step, which is this one, is one that is good, but then that the average is like a parabolic graph. It just starts slow, then it gets fast, and then it just slows down a bit. So now what I'm going to do is let's have a look at expression history. Let's have a look at the step log table. I want to see what is really making this slow. Probably this one is not gonna be a good reference. Let's have a look here at the step matrix. Alright, so definitely the job we are taking most of the time here is this one. Is the HTTP time call. Yeah, we know that is what is expected to happen. And therefore anything that depends on this step is slow. So this one, this XML is slow, and this TLC file should be slow. So it's this one, parse XML, yeah, and with the customer one table. What is it? Oh yeah, this one, which was slow. So realistically, this is the one that is making things slow. So let's analyze this one. Let's go here to the HTTP client, and you can see what is going on here. So reading in terms of rows per second is slow. Yeah, it's really slow. If we compare this one with replace strings, which is a very fast one, with table input. All right. Look. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it shows the speed. There goes per second. Maybe this one looks like it doesn't have any. Yeah, this one should be fast indeed. But this one is really the one that is slowing down the process. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show how to do the global configuration of this of logging. So I come here to we're gonna edit the Kernel properties file. Yeah, we need to make sure that we have everything there. So we go here to .kernel. So I already have one ready. So let's have a look at the Kernel properties file. It's empty. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Kernel properties. Oh, sorry. File that has all the information ready, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna define my GND connection and the log tables for all my in a global way. So we don't have to go to the transformation to the settings to do this every time we want. So we're gonna apply a global strategy to store all our logs in PDI. So let me get here. I'm gonna just delete this Kernel properties, and I'm gonna move Kernel properties.save to Kernel properties. So now I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna make sure. Let me see the edit the Kernel properties. Kernel properties. What it does is it stores globally the variables we need for logging, so we don't need to add them individually in each transformation. So we see that we already defined the GMB connection, which is called PDI log. We define the log table for logging channels. We define the log table for job entry log. We define the log table for job log, and we have defined the log table for step log and for transformation log, which are the 6 facilities that we're going to and performance log. So just close this one and let's open a new one. Let's open this job database lookup demo. This is another example that was presented in a previous webinar. So we have this. Let's make sure that we have nothing in our login. Here, let's make sure that this is empty. This is empty here. Yeah. Now let's hit OK. Let's save it. So far, this one has 3 batches, and let's run it. Should record on every facility. Okay, it's running, it's finished, it's successful, and yeah, and it hasn't recorded, which means we're going to restart. Yeah. Usually this is the thing with with that integration. We already discussed this. Let's wait a bit. Let's wait a little bit. So we have already talked about 2 types of logging. One is logging logging per transformation or logging per job, and a global logging. Whichever option fits better the case study, that's the one we're going to choose. Now we started. Let's quickly run this, and now we got everything ready. All right. So we have here execution history. We have our batch ID number 9, which is related to this one. And on this batch ID number 9, we have the different steps. That was here. The important thing here, this is the performance one. Yeah. Performance one. The good thing with the performance one is that it helps us it gives us information about the input and the output buffer. This is very important to find bottlenecks. So it helps you. And what login channels were used. So in this one, what connections were used. Yeah. And yeah, so we can see that we pretty much logged everything without having to go to the login. So this one is empty. Yeah. One of the things to keep in mind when using a global logging is that we need to make our connection to the logging database a shared data source.